It is a fact that lying down sometimes works best for those of us who are learning to meditate, especially if we've got pain or a lot of discomfort in the body. Personally, I find that if at all possible, it's ideal to sit. And sometimes that means sitting with a little extra support. Why? Well, one, we really do like the idea of having the spine long. And two, the more important reason I think is that it is so easy to drift off into sleep when we're lying down. So if at all possible, let's sit. Well, okay, so sitting, if you're down on the floor and it's really uncomfortable for your hips or your knees, then what I suggest is that we come to a chair, because this isn't about suffering. This is about creating a really comfortable, open position so then we can go inside. So what I suggest here is I've got a bolster back here, some kind of prop that can help keep the spine long to support me without leaning so far back in the chair, because then what I've done is I've set my spine no longer at a vertical and it becomes problematic for my head and neck. So long spine if possible. And then some of you guys are going to be a little shorter than I am, or you've got a tall chair. And what we'd like to have is we'd like to have a 45-degree angle. So we could place blocks, or I don't think books. Don't place books under your feet. It's not a good habit to get into. But blocks or something underneath. And you can see, actually, for me, I'm best off with my feet on the floor so that my legs are at a right angle. I've drawn the lower navel in just slightly to help support a neutral pelvis. So it feels a little bit like mountain pose, only seated. The shoulders relax and the spine lengthens. Generally speaking, because we've become such forward moving computer creatures, we need to draw the back of the neck and the head up and back just slightly. Got the idea? So make a space in your home for a seat if that works best for you. Traditionally, meditation was taken in Padmasana, or lotus pose, where one foot at a time comes to the hip creases, and we sit for hours upon hours and meditate. That is really unattainable for many, many people. So we want to take the pressure off of ourselves for this position, and sitting maybe in a half lotus or in a more comfortable seat like this can work just fine. The other issue here is that so many of us are sitting in chairs regularly that what happens is the lumbar spine is rounded and there's really no support for the spine whatsoever. So this is where it's really nice to have a bolster to sit up on. The bolster is just lovely. And there's a couple other things we could do. We could either have two blocks. Let's say our knees are sensitive. The blocks could come to the outside of the knees. Or if you have blankets, the blankets can also rest on the outer thighs. So check for yourself. You know, this is really, I don't know, it's an intimate relationship meditation. We spend a lot of time, ideally, in our lives as yoga practitioners sitting. So we want our base of support to be comfortable, because inevitably there will come a time in our practice where it won't be all that comfortable, where the body will begin to speak, little aches and pains. And we can make subtle adjustments, but as much as possible, we want to allow the body to settle and still and observe what shows up and just hang with it if we can. But we don't want to be stupid about it. We want to set ourselves up so that nothing hurts, especially right from the beginning. All right, so long spine, gentle lift of the pelvic floor, relaxing the shoulders, drawing the back of the head up slightly. And then steadying the gaze downward or closing the eyes. If you tend to drift off, I recommend steadying the gaze downward, widening the peripheral vision so it's not as though we're looking at any one thing. Allowing the body to rest, steady and present, including the sounds around us, including the sensations within us. Noticing the breath. Observing thought. Thought rises and passes just like the breath. And now we're ready to meditate.